Good evening, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from in the world. I see we've got a pretty wide reach of people from across the globe, so that's awesome to see. Welcome to another one of our LUMIX Live sessions here on YouTube. This week's going to be a bit of a different session than what we've done in the past, which for the last couple of weeks tend to be more technical oriented and product specific, that kind of conversation. This is really just a conversation so that you guys can meet the team here in the United States. So our support team that I work with on a weekly basis when we were actually back out traveling and in stores. And kind of use this time to allow you guys to ask us questions, really, a more informal session than we've had in the past. So a couple things I want to get out of the way. If you guys have questions for this stream, make sure to leave them in the chat below or on the side, depending on which platform you're on. Make sure to tag @LUMIX Cameras so that I can see it on my dashboard here and we can address it during the session. If you have a general question about LUMIX cameras, lenses, technologies, things like that, we'll try to answer as many of them as we can throughout this session. If you have a question specifically for one of the guests, make sure to let us know that that question's for that guest that's on. Throughout this hour-long session, I will be joined by Mark Toal, Brandon Cortez, Jack Salamanchuk, and Michael Richardson, all of whom are, like I said, my counterparts that cover here in the continental United States. With that, I'm actually going to jump ahead of schedule a little bit here, and we're going to bring in Mark Toal in a second here. So let me get this all set up. And here we go. So, hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me, Sean?
Yes, I can.
And so it's morning here in Portland, Oregon, so you got that right.
Cool. So, before we dive into, kind of the technical side and, understand, what we're, kind of covering today, how about we give the viewers a little introduction as to who you are and what territories you cover?
Okay, my title is Director of Retail Services, so I am technically the supervisor of everybody you're seeing today, although that's a loose term. So I live in Portland, Oregon, and I cover stores mainly in the Northwest, Pro Photo Supply, Glazers, Kenmore Camera, Bozeman, stores like that, but I basically supervise the whole United States as a group. And so that's, I think in a nutshell, what I do. I've been with Panasonic for 13 years, by the way. So I started at Panasonic when I was a TV rep, basically. And then the G-Series camera came out, and I started with the G1. Actually won a Panasonic photo contest with the G1. And,
awesome.
And on to a contest with the FZ300. So I've been doing Panasonic cameras since not day one, but day one of the current cameras, the current G series.
Nice, nice. So what knowing that obviously we're in the photo side of the business, what is your background in photography? What got you into it? What kind of experiences did you have before working with Panasonic?
Okay, so basically I tell people I've been in the photo business for, it's about 100 years now, because my grandfather actually worked for George Eastman at Kodak. He spent his whole career in the darkroom making film. And my father worked at Kodak, and I literally had no choice. It's in my blood. Anyway, so but to get to the more current, I spent most of my career in the photo finishing business, which is printing photos, and about 5 years as a professional photographer before I went to work for Panasonic and, got lucky enough to rep cameras. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so, with the current lineup of cameras that we obviously use and we talk about at stores and on these kinds of events, what's your current go-to camera? So like what are you carrying around to shoot with in your off time?
Okay, well, two things. One is the one I've been carrying, especially since the COVID shutdown, is the FZ1000. And I know that's not probably the likely choice. I think a lot of people are into full frame and things, but actually, because I'm kind of a techie person, I went into Lightroom and I did that search where you can see all the cameras and how many pictures you shot with them. And the FZ1000 over the past, since it's been out 3 or 4 years, is the camera I've used the most. And for those of you who don't know, it's a super zoom. It's 28 to 400 millimeters on a 1-inch sensor. And when this camera came out, the 1-inch sensor to me is like the sweet spot of photography. It just does everything I want. Somebody described my style of photography. Somebody at a class I was teaching said, "What kind of photographer are you?" And I said, I don't know how to describe that. He goes, "You're an opportunist." And I love that because I take any opportunity to shoot a picture. And I want to carry a camera all the time. And this does it, and I've got a few examples to show you when you get a minute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's see some of your photography.
So part of the reason I brought this out, and hold on, I'm a little new to this program here. So tell me when you can see my screen. Can you see these pictures?
Now we can. Yep.
Okay. So this is a good example. So this is the granddaughter of a friend of mine who asked me to shoot her birthday party during the time of the COVID shutdown. So she's sitting in the front yard. There's a clown across the street doing a juggling act. So he's socially distanced away. And I'm using this camera, and I'm basically at about 400 millimeters because I'm so, a safe distance from her. I'm probably 20 feet from her shooting portraits. But let me show you a lot of these pictures I've shot are portraits. This is my nephew. And again, what I love about this camera is if I zoom out, I can blur the background. I can get the same bokeh, I love that word, that you can get with a full frame camera. I love it because when I travel, this is in Las Vegas, it's just an easy camera to carry around. This is probably 25 millimeters. An alligator in Florida. Birds, it's great for birds and sports and that kind of, not sports, I don't do sports, sorry. But portrait. I was at an event where I was not supposed to be photographing. It was a Panasonic event. I was supposed to be a technical person. And so I'm in the back of the group helping them with the settings with the FZ1000 zooming in at about 400 millimeters to get these portraits. Because I'm, again, not supposed to be a participant in this event.
Yeah.
Car museum. Zooming in on details of cars. And one thing I love about this camera is you can see it's incredibly sharp. This is a street festival, a singer. I took it to an air show, and I'll tell you, everybody was looking at me because they were all using their full-frame cameras with these gigantic lenses, and I'm just using this FZ1000, and I can't make a big as enlargement as they could, but I can make an 11 by 14 out of this. This is a good example. So a lot of people think this is a macro picture, which the camera does great macro, but it's not. This leaf was in an area where I couldn't get to it. This is, again, probably at about 400 millimeters. And so, again, this is at a distance. People look at these and they go, that must be a macro. I was probably 10 or 12 feet from this, this horse, he was running around and I'm zooming in and just following him. This is actually the horse is actually a frame from 4K video. I just followed him around shooting video and then pulled this frame out of it. And then this is another one I took this morning to show the sharpness and at 400 millimeters what it does to the background. So anyways, it just kind of, shows why I love this camera so much, because I can take it anywhere and shoot anything with it.
Yeah. No, I mean that's really cool. Like we have, as reps working for the company, we have access to every camera and lens that the company makes, and that sounds like when you from outside, it sounds like, oh, that's great. You can pick the biggest and best thing that the company makes, and you can go out and shoot with that. And the reality is, there's a ton of times where I don't want to carry around my S1R or an S1H and go around and shoot with it, and having something smaller and all in one is a huge benefit. So what would you say is one of the, and I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know we have conferences every week, and we talk about what we're going to do on these streams and kind of pacing stuff like that. But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit and say, what would you say is one of the most misunderstood things about the Lumix line of cameras, in your opinion?
Oh boy, that's a good. Well, I'll be honest with you. A couple of things is you'll get people saying, "I hear they have problems focusing," and I'm mostly a still photographer. I have zero problems focusing. And another thing too, when I first started, I was actually owned Panasonic cameras before I went to work for Panasonic. When I bought my first camera, to be honest with you, the reason I bought it was because it had a Leica lens, and I always wanted a Leica. But when I read the comments online, and this was 10 or 12 years ago, the things were, oh, they're noisy. The images are noisy at high ISOs. Especially with a small sensor camera like this. But and yes, they are. If I was going to shoot really low light, I would shoot with the S1 or something, a full frame. But if I can shoot to ISO 1600 with this camera, and I can make 11 by 14 prints, 16 by 20 if I keep the ISO low, it does everything I need. So that's
cool.
I'd say that's the main thing that people say. And again, every camera has its limitations or whatever, but I find it holds its own as far as low light. You just have to keep in mind the sensor size. Yeah.
Cool. So we actually have a couple of questions here from the community. And as a reminder for everyone that's viewing, if you have questions for us, tag @Lumix Cameras. We will try to get to as many of them as we can and answer the ones that we actually can answer that would be worthwhile being able to make a comment on. But we have a question here from actually someone who you convinced to leave a Nikon for. This is from Ashok. If I mispronounce any names, I sincerely apologize, but this question's from Ashok. It says, new G85 user. Thanks, Mark, convincing me out of Nikon. What are my lens options beyond the kit 12 to 60? Looking for a good all-around travel lens like his 18 to 270 Tamron from his Nikons.
The good question. I got that answer. It's the 14 to 140, the Lumix 14 to 140. That's equivalent of 28 to 280 millimeters, and that's what I would take. That again, it's kind of like turns it into an FC1000 in a way. It becomes, you can almost travel with just that camera and lens alone. Yeah. So the 14 to 140 Lumix lens.
Nice.
Easy.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Keep the easy questions. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much in here, and we'll jump in, and there's a lot of questions in here I see from everyone out there that we'll try to address here. There was a question from Glenn about ProRes RAW and asking if it's coming to the S1 anytime soon. He's looking to just make sure that it's known that that's a requested feature. We've definitely heard the request. We don't know and can't comment, even if we did know, about any kind of development or anything like that. But when you guys do comment on this stream, or you comment in the social, any social media platform that we are part of and looking at, that kind of information gets reported up and seen. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you now, but that request has been heard. The next one that I see here is from Barry. Good day to you too, sir. He asks, is the Leica 45mm macro for 4/3 going away? Or is a new one coming to replace it? Because he's having trouble finding it anywhere right now.
Not that I know of. Do you?
Yeah. So as far as we know, no, that lens isn't going anywhere. Obviously, with the situation going on in the world with delays in shipping and everything that's just happened with COVID and everything, inventory in certain stores and locations may be a little tough to find. Keep your eyes open. That lens, as far as we know, is not discontinued or anything like that. So you should be able to find it eventually. And I definitely know that there's not really anything coming to replace it. So if you want, Yeah, there's a good alternative to it. If you don't need necessarily, say, a 90 millimeter field of view, the 30 millimeter macro for Micro Four Thirds from Panasonic is also a really good alternative for that lens. And that one should be readily available across the market as well. And it will also support some of the newer technologies because it is a much newer lens. So take a look around. We're represented in a large majority of the United States photo retailers. So if you have to look around, you should be able to find someone that at least has them in stock. Let's see what other questions we got. Oh, another question from Glenn. How do I get a job at Panasonic to have access to all the camera and lenses? Willing to work for free.
I'm not leaving, so.
No. That's a question that comes up a lot, with a lot of these kinds of streams that we do, and when we're at stores or when we were allowed to be at stores, we always had those conversations. One of the pieces of advice I can give someone who wants to pursue working for a manufacturer is a couple different paths. Show your work, become known in the industry or in the market as someone who is a brand champion. If you're looking to go for, say, a sponsored photographer kind of concept. If you're looking to work at a manufacturer for like a position like what we have, it takes a lot of time. You have to keep aware, look at job listing sites, if companies are hiring, and really understand what you're getting into when you come into this side of the industry. Like as Mark and I can probably attest to equally here, working for a brand, it sounds like a whole lot of fun from the outside. We have access to all this camera equipment, and I can go out and shoot anything I want. And for the most part, we do have a lot of capabilities to go out and shoot on our own and produce beautiful work. But a lot of this job is here just to support you, the community, to be at stores, teaching classes, educating people, and being available to help, almost around the clock. So just keep at it, keep looking at job posting sites, and if something comes up, apply. Don't get discouraged if you don't see it.
And check the manufacturer's websites for jobs. That's a lot of times they don't get posted nationally. Yeah. Yep. Just register on their site, and companies are always hiring. It seems like it's not happening right now, but it'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see. We got another question from. Let's see. A question from, I think it's Tatiana. If I really, again, I hope I pronounced your name right. Says, I got into something too advanced and want to get very basic, simple settings. And I believe you have a ZS100. This is where, so depending on the country you're in, depending on where you are in the United States, there are tons of online classes that the LUMIX team assists our dealer base in teaching. So I know, Mark, like you said, you cover the Northwest region. You can always take a look out on those websites to see where you can join one of Mark's classes, one of the other team members that we're going to have on here in a few minutes. And the way I always suggest it is make sure you register on the LUMIX photography website. So Panasonic LUMIX's actual brand site. Register for the emails there, because we send out notifications like when we're doing this session here, when we're actually holding different tips and tricks classes, where you're going to get entry-level conversations about the camera you have. Mark, what's with everything that we've got going on, because we got about another minute here before I think Brandon's jumping on. What's one thing you're excited for over the next year with Panasonic?
Oh boy, I've been trying to learn more video. and that Panasonic is big in the video, and it's hard for a still photographer. All your lights just went out there, so and it's hard for a still photographer like myself to do that. So I'm trying to take this time when we're not traveling as much to learn more about video. audio, video, everything to do with it. So that's probably my goal. It's been that for a couple of years, so we'll see where I get this year.
Very cool, very cool. Well, so in a minute or so, we're going to have Brandon Cortez actually jump on, if I look at my scheduling right. Yeah, Brandon, hey, there he is.
Oh, hey.
So, want to say thanks, Mark, for joining in. That was a fun session here, and we're moving right on here with Brandon Cortez. So, welcome, Brandon. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So, what we did with the last guest with Mark on here is, how about we give an introduction to who you are, how long you've been with Panasonic, what region you cover, what stores people can find you at.
So I'm Brandon Cortez. I'm the Panasonic sales support rep under Mark Toal, who's our amazing boss. So I get kudos for that for Mark. But I cover the northeast of the United States. So everything. I'm based out of New Jersey. So everything from New Jersey all the way up to Maine, I cover. In terms of the stores that I cover, B&H Photo, Adorama, Hunt's Photo, Ace Photo, pretty much every camera dealer that carries LUMIX, I support and train with associates.
Cool, yeah. So yeah, back in Jersey, my stomping ground. So it's cool to see. You know, we still have that rep up there and someone there to support those guys. So for those that you know are in the chat, maybe have joined us a little late, just as a reminder, if you have questions for us, drop them in the chat with the tag @LUMIX Cameras so that we can see it in the dashboard I have here. If you have questions specifically for Brandon as we go through this conversation, make sure to let me know. Just say, hey, question for Brandon, or however you want to word it there, and we'll ask it here. But Brandon, what camera equipment are you using currently for your photography?
So I'm a portrait photographer. I've worked for Panasonic for 8 years, and I've shot. I'll admit I didn't shoot Panasonic when I first started working with Panasonic. I shot Nikon. However, we, just as you mentioned before, Sean, we have the opportunity to have every single bit of gear that Panasonic makes. We're very blessed that way. We get every lens, we get every body, but I personally own Panasonic gear. I've spent all of my money on Panasonic cameras. So I mentioned this to you before, that while we both have tattooed our bodies with stuff, you've tattooed yourself with Panasonic lenses themselves. I buy Panasonic gear. That's my. I don't have any room left, so that. However, my camera that I use for my portrait work is the full frame series, the S series. This is the S1R with the 70-200 f2.8 Leica lens on it. I use off-camera flash all the time because I'm a studio-based photographer. So it is very important to me to have the resolution that this camera offers and the versatility. And frankly, I'm obsessed with Panasonic's color and the color accuracy that we have. So that is my main reason for switching to Panasonic. So as a portrait photographer, the 70-200 2.8 is always on my camera lens, just because that's the most popular thing. But I'm, of course, surrounded by other gear right now. So I guess I'll go over really quick what's in my actual camera bag, what I use and bring with me every time I go and shoot.
Yeah, definitely.
The S1. So if I'm not doing studio photography, if I have the need for low light or anything with higher ISO work, it's going to be the S1, again, with a Godox trigger with a 24-70 2.8. Again, this is all the stuff that I own. And 50mm 1.4, which is insanely good. Like the bokeh on this lens, it's insane lens.
Yeah, as you can see, that's what I have attached to the S1H for these streams here. So,
yeah,
bokeh-licious.
And then, of course, Panasonic makes amazing glass as well, and Sigma makes amazing primes. So I do have a 135 Sigma 1.8 L-mount native glass as well.
Nice.
And because we just announced it, I've been testing it out. 20-60. This is awesome too. Love that.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly fun lens. Like I've been using the 16-35 for a while, or the 16-35 f4, but that 20-60 it's surprisingly fun to shoot with.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of its aperture. It's super sharp too. Like I pixel peep on this thing, and it is insanely good. So I mean, you see everything with 47 megapixels. You see every detail.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
Nice. So, just like I asked Mark in the when he was here, I'm kind of throwing a curveball at each of you guys when you come on here. So, what I asked him is, so working with Panasonic and interacting with the community, whether we're on site or we're here teaching classes, what would you say is one thing that is most misunderstood about the Lumix cameras?
Ooh, I'll react like Mark did, where I was shocked and surprised. Again, I think the feature set that we offer for the price isn't played up enough. I mean, the cameras do so much. I mean, I often find people who just don't know that like you can get unlimited record time with a full frame camera. I mean, or in the GH line. So I think these are professional tools. I have no problem submitting these to publications. I've been published a bunch of times using Panasonic Lumix cameras. So they're just as good as any other flagship camera that's out there. So I think that's the main thing.
Cool. So I know you mentioned that you shoot portraiture is a lot of the primary stuff. So with the portraiture, what kind of flashes are you currently using? I know you'd mentioned the Godox transmitters. Any other systems you're using?
So I strictly use Godox myself. I have used the Pro Photo stuff. It's just a little larger than I wanted to carry around with me. But they make amazing stuff. In terms of the lighting that I use is all 8200 Pros, 8400, 8600s. Those are my whole system that I use. So I'm a big lighting guy, so at any time I'll have between 3 to 4 different lights and all Westcott light modifiers, and now I've gotten into massive 7-foot umbrellas, so it's become a lot. My house is like, if it's not baby toys that are in here, it's photography gear that is taking over my house.
That's awesome. So we actually have a question in the comments for you, Brandon. This is from Tatiana. It says, question for Brandon. Are you going to be at B&H this fall by chance?
As soon as B&H opens, I will be there. So we typically do Lumix demo days there. B&H is always amazing at announcing stuff online on their website. So if they have a demo day, it will be listed there in their demo zone schedule, I think they call it. But yeah, absolutely, I'm there.
Cool. Now, there were a couple questions that Tatiana was bringing up before about wanting to learn the camera that she has and be able to get some basic functionality on it. So, like what I was talking with Mark and what we were talking about originally, for those that are really anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, this entire team teaches online classes at hosted by our U.S. based dealers. Brandon, so I know you had mentioned that you're covering the Northeast. Do you have any classes that are coming up within the next couple of weeks that you want to give a shout out to?
We have some. We have macro photography classes. I don't know the dealers' names offhand, but it's all listed on the Panasonic Facebook link, and they'll have everyone's schedules there and who's teaching them and the classes that are offered there. And that's also where you can sign up right for the dealer itself.
Cool.
But I mean, because of this whole pandemic thing, it's all been virtual. So we've been all very busy. So hopefully people have been seeing our classes that we're offering out there. Because again, if you don't catch it live, it's replayed. So just watch it again on the replay.
Exactly. That's actually like I don't know about you, but that's actually been kind of like a nice reprieve from always having to be on the road and out away from home. I mean, especially for you with a kid now, it's being able to still actually educate and talk about photography, but not have to necessarily be on the road all the time is actually been a fun experience. But man, do I feel a lot more busy than I've ever felt before.
I feel like our workload is like quadrupled with the amount of things that we do, and somehow I'm taking more photos, but I'm just taking photos of my son all day long, chasing him around with 53-inch umbrellas and stuff like that. So it's gotten a little more, working in smaller spaces, I'm appreciating it more. But it is insanely nice to be home because you had talked about like Mark had mentioned someone was asking about getting a job at Panasonic. So I worked part-time at Best Buy while I was in college and simply just applied while I was working at Best Buy, from there at Panasonic, and 8 years later, I'm a Panasonic still. It's nothing special. Photography background and good luck, is really the key. But we travel a ton, like we're all
Oh
over
yeah.
the place. I'm home 8 to 9 days a month, so it's a lot to travel, especially if you have family at home. But luckily for us, I mean, we're taking photos, we're talking photography, so we love everything that we're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best jobs I've had in a long time, and that's I worked in photo retail in the Northeast for a number of years, and
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of fun, and that's actually one of the things where if you have a passion for photography and you're looking at ways to get into the industry, look at local photo stores. If they need help, they need knowledgeable people to educate on products. That's a good place to get your feet wet as well. Just know that if you work for a camera store, be agnostic on camera brands. Try to check your brand bias at the door. Everyone
Yeah,
has
but
brand bias.
exactly. Everything just because you shoot it doesn't mean you need to recommend it to everybody. People will
Exactly.
always. My friends and family ask me, what kind of camera should I get? Of course, I'll say I think here's what Panasonic offers. Here's what somebody else offers because we happen to know what competitors do. But I'll get what's best for them.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's such a cool aspect of being able to interact with everybody and being on this side of the industry. And once we get back to the point that we can be in stores and we can actually be face to face with everyone, in the U.S. at least. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's just, the same goes for our brothers and sisters in Europe and Asia and all over the globe that work for Panasonic. Once we're able to get back into the stores, there's going to be, I think, a big surge in wanting to actually be out and getting hands-on experience with it. So hopefully that comes sooner rather than later, but within reason, so that we don't all just massively respike what's going on and have to be stuck at home.
No, absolutely. And again, we have a lot of cool stuff for 2020 at Panasonic. A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And the one thing, I guess, by working in the industry is that sometimes we get stuff, earlier. It's not always fun and games when you have stuff earlier because often it's pre-production and it's so glitchy that you don't want to use it. You know what I mean? So, and you know.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of that stuff, it's pretty few and far between where anyone's given anything to understand early. But what's cool about the way Panasonic works is all of us provide feedback. We on the support side of the company, so that's this team here.
Yeah.
We're a lot of times the eyes and ears for our engineers, for our marketing teams, for everyone there, where when new products are being conceptualized, we listen to a lot of what the community says, whether Brandon finds it, talking to customers, working around, whether I find it, Mark, Jack, or Michael find it, though that kind of information gets piped up. So like a lot of the comments I'm seeing in the chat here, are like really revolving around like, when is the ProRes RAW update coming for the S1H? And those kinds of questions and comments, even if we don't necessarily answer them, live on screen with a direct answer, know that we do see them. And that information gets piped up to the team, which, just like you guys, we are chomping at the bit to get our versions of that. We don't even have copies of ProRes RAW either. So it's not like we could even be able to just, kind of like, hey, I'm shooting with it, it's really cool kind of thing. It's like, no, there's a reason why it got delayed. It needs to be, what is expected of a product that already has the Netflix post-technology certification. So know that it's coming. It will be available. As we had said, it is going to be a free upgrade to the camera, so firmware update. Just hang tight. It will come.
I got to say, just to piggy on that, is we really do listen to every bit of feedback someone says. We reread, even if we don't acknowledge it, we're reading it, we send it up. So if we hand you our business card at one of the stores, know that we are very much listening to it.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks, Brandon.
See you guys.
We're gonna see you later. So I'm joined now by Jack Salamanchuk from another Texas native here. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing good.
Nice, nice. I see we're rocking the same set of headphones here.
You know what? PC gamers got to stick together.
I was going, for that whole YouTube, game streamer look here. I think it works out. I mean,
I think it's very flattering, and with the new webcam software that we have, you're going to be a star.
I'm totally going to bring back playing Command and Conquer, though. You got to go
Absolutely.
old school. So, we've been talking a lot through the session with Mark and Brandon here about kind of who we are, what regions we cover, what we're into in photography and stuff like that. So, could you give everyone a kind of an intro as to who you are, what region you cover, and what you do for Panasonic?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jack Salamanchuk. I've been with LUMIX 13 years. So Mark Toal and I predate mirrorless cameras. I remember when we used to say mirrorless cameras are the future. Often now we're saying mirrorless cameras are the present. So I've been doing this a long time. Before that, I'm a hobbyist photographer. I do a lot of macro. I do a lot of wildlife. Maybe we'll share some images. But if it's something that it doesn't want to bite me or sting me, honestly, I probably don't want to take a picture of it. I really love adventure photography, and I like to kind of take wildlife. And then I'll do everything from alligators, which we may see, to background yard macro. So maybe you just can take some time to consider, what we have around us. It's a great thing about this situation is we've had time to be a little bit more introspective with our photography.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, which camera is your go-to in these off times of not being physically at stores?
Well, that's a loaded question. I've had a lot of cameras from Panasonic over the years. Much like Mark, I started off because of the incredible performance of our FZ series, and I'm not going to tell you that's my favorite camera because that's Mark's, and I don't want to take his favorite camera. But know that we've got a camera for everyone, and I sometimes think in photography we don't realize that there's a tool for every job. Sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a screwdriver, sometimes you need a wrench. They all do different things, and they do them differently. But my baby, if we can see, I don't want to be the guy who takes a photo with a camera in this photo, but it's a G9. I love the G9. This is the 100 to 400. I think this is the ideal combination because of its versatility. It's sharp, it's fast, it's stable. You can do all sorts of great things with this. If I didn't choose that, I know someone was asking about the 45 macro in the comments. We've got a great 45. We've got a great 35. Dual IS is no joke. So I really... I really love that. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff like that. I don't know if we want to try. Do you want to try the quick handoff? I only have a couple images.
Yeah, we can try. The bandwidth goes in and out. So for those watching, these live streams are always challenging for bandwidth consumption. So if we see a little bit of a lag in the display, we apologize for that. We are working remotely across the country. So cool. We got your screen up here, Jack.
Great. So this is the kind of stuff I like to do. And, I wouldn't want to do this with a 50 millimeter lens. So I tend to shoot somewhere in the 300 to 400 millimeter, so equivalent up to 600 to 800 millimeters. And this is a handheld. Everything I shoot is handheld because everything I shoot is in high humidity. So I don't always want to take a monopod with me. I've got one. I told myself I'd use it. Mainly I use the monopod in part of my studio from macro. Just another example. This is an SE 2500, but same kind of day, where this is an alligator that's vocalizing. I wanted to stay distant because I don't want to, put any stress on the animal. And you got to be respectful. So this is taken in a state park. I don't shoot at zoos, so this is as I found it. And again, I wanted to stay safe, and this is it vocalizing and saying, "Hey guys, I'm here." Last one. A baby. This is one of those things where you can tell it just came out from the marsh. It's got a mustache. We might have milk mustaches. It's got a moss mustache. And again, this is handheld. And I could never get this close to these animals with what I used to shoot before I came to Panasonic. Just some macros. This is all handheld. Again, this is just amazing stuff. Really good separation. And a lot of fun. I mean, unfortunately, the stream kind of kills the compression a little bit, but yeah. I think you get the idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. And for those watching, you know, we have in the description for this video, we have the Instagram handles for all of us here. So to see images like this, you know, the work that a lot of us produce on our off time, that kind of thing, you know, go check out the Instagram pages. We have tons of content. I know I can speak for myself. You can try reaching out to us on Instagram through the chat. We may not always see it, may not always be able to answer back to things like that. We always try to, but you know, as we were talking with Brandon before, it's funny how, and Jack, maybe you can comment on this too. You know, before we got into this kind of lockdown scenario where we're having to do all of our classes virtually, you know, we thought we were busy then. It has gotten like crazy busy with classes and education compared to what we were dealing with before. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot less time in planes. It's a lot more time in trains, literally training people. I did that for a great pun. And what I like
about automobiles?
You know, we're being cautiously optimistic, Sean. But you know, so right now I cover Texas, the Midwest, and I support a lot of the other SSRs doing other things. And one of the great things is I started this with Mark Toal, and there were 2 of us in the entire nation. So now I'm getting to reconnect with some of the dealers that I might not see as often because, you know, great people like Brandon are covering them. So it's been a really good thing. And again, working with my teammates, people like you, Mark Toal, Michael, and you know, everybody else, Brandon.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of cool things, you know, with working for this company and being in the positions that we are. I mean, you know, prepping for this stream, we've had a couple calls, you know, to get ready, make sure that, you know, we're relatively set for this, and it always just makes me crack up just how much of a, you know, kind of family-ish oriented group, you know, everyone is at Panasonic. You know, from teaching a class and needing to reach out to, you know, Jack or anybody else, knowing that, you know, hey, as long as my calendar's open, I'll be there to help and support that class, and, you know, jump in the comments and be there to support all of us as a brand is a big part of what we all do. I mean, for those that have been watching the stream for the number of weeks that we've been doing it, Jack is the guy behind the keyboard making sure that the questions that I can't get to on the stream are answered for you. So, you know, huge shout out to you, Jack, for you know, monitoring all of the social media and the platform here during the streams so that, you know, we don't let many questions get by.
But you didn't ask me your trick question. I mean, it's not a trick to me because I watched the show. Big fan. First, I would say
so, yes.
First time, long time. You know, first time caller,
long time viewer.
Yeah.
So what? All right, then let's jump into that. So what in your opinion is one of the most you know, misunderstood things about the Panasonic LUMIX cameras?
Well, actually, I'm gonna do a 2 times crop for you. So I'm gonna do 2. So so one, we've got a great. We're a very small company in the United States. We have an amazing support that's global from Japan and everyone else, but I don't think they understand how small of a company that Panasonic is. So Sean is really good about pushing up everything so people see it. But we've got great support for people you might not see. Meet them at trade shows. You're going to get a great experience, whether it's Anthony, whether it's you know, Di. We got so many people. We got great people in marketing, and we're always bringing on more people. So that's great. So there's a great group of people behind the scenes making assets, making sure that we're effective in the field. But my other one, my very Jack style one would be, what people don't understand are the naming conventions of our line.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's true. So what I would say is this. Let me give you the quick version because I'm going to get kicked off pretty soon from Michael. But G series cameras, G originally stood for new generation. It is probably the base of our line. So you've got great cameras like the G7, the G85, the G95. The G9. G is designed as an amazing hybrid camera, stills, video. They're all going to have their own little specialization, but they're all great. Big shout out for the G85. I think it's the best bang for buck in mirrorless. The GX series is a rangefinder style camera. Now, it's not a rangefinder, but it's an offset viewfinder. So if you see a GX, you already know that's a rangefinder style camera. That's helpful for people. And then the first digit usually is technology platform. So a 9 is newer than an 8, that's newer than a 7. And then GH. GH originally stood as a hybrid. And again, that will be our amazing cameras for stills and video. I don't think people realize how good they are for stills on a GH, though. I think, Sean, coming into the company, you were shocked at how great a GH series was, not just for amazing video and how it punches above its weight, but photographically, they're just amazing cameras.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty much the entire line that we have. I love shooting with pretty much anything that we have, so.
Absolutely. So questions, comments?
Yeah, so we're digging through here. Remember, if you guys have questions specifically for Jack in the next about 5 minutes before we have Michael come on, drop them in the comments below. But in the meantime, we've got a couple questions here. Let's see of which ones we actually have answers for. So speaking of webcam software for tethering, when can we have it for Mac and use it on an Lx100 ZS100? Coming from John. So John, that one, we touched on that last week with the virtual background conversation. Development for software is, quite frankly, it's a lot easier to develop platforms and beta software on a Windows-based system because of the restrictions that Apple puts in for a lot of what's required for it to qualify as beta and then be able to actually sit on their not Play Store, the App Store. Know that development for stuff like that is always ongoing. So we don't have a time frame for you with when there may be a Mac beta version of it. But know that because of last week's session, I know that a lot of the feedback from the community who are Apple users, which actually are a bunch of us. I mean, our normal day-to-day computers that we work on for the company on this team are MacBooks. That information does get fed up. As far as whether or not cameras like the LX or ZS cameras are going to get support on the Lumix Tether, at this current time, I do not believe they have the hardware capable between the camera and the software itself. Since they weren't already, they weren't able to utilize the Lumix Tether software to begin with. But keep the comments coming. Like I said, that info gets fed up to our team so that they can, take a look and see what can go. It is not lost on anybody that the tethering style software should be available for Mac. Just know that it does take a little bit longer. And for those commenting about how maybe brand A or B or C has done it, yes, they did, but look at the time lag between when their Windows version came out and when a Mac version came out. If we are looking to expand it further, it just needs to just keep going, and it will grow.
And Sean puts this feedback in every week. He just doesn't always have the visibility to tell you about things that are not announced yet.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. What are the questions we got here? Where's the love for video content producers? That's from Cam 35mm. There's a lot of love for video production team here. I know, Jack, you
I grew up with skateboarding videos. As well. Yeah, absolutely. I grew up with skateboarding videos. The reason that we don't always, first of all, we have a great number of ambassadors and people who work with us, and a lot of their work gets showcased before ours. So yeah, I'm a video guy. I'm a long-term video guy. I've owned a ton of stuff. I love this. Sometimes it's the platform. We're just trying to appeal to everyone and make it as wide as humanly possible. We're always looking for material, so don't worry. That's definitely something we're looking at, and we have just a lot of great content that we're working on right now.
Yeah, yeah. So
that's where the sunburn came from, by the way.
Oh yeah. Especially with how it's been for the last couple of days down here in Texas. I know you're over in Houston. It's been hot here. It's starting to get hot and muggy now, but
I could say we have excellent humidity proofing in our cameras.
There you go. Oh man! All right. So let's see. What other questions you guys have out there? We got about another minute before Michael's going to jump on. See a question from Ben. Are there any neat or interesting photography-centric features or enhancements for the S series coming down the pipeline that you can share with us? Couldn't even answer that if I knew, but a little bit of what I know. We talked about before is. There are so many features in your camera already that a lot of times you may not be aware exist in the camera. So I would hang on one second. We're just going to do this real quick. There is there's a lot that you want to look at your camera. Take some of the classes that we offer that are free online to look at, what you may not be aware of that your camera does. I teach an astrophotography class. Yep.
Can I give one that I know that a lot of people don't use?
Yeah.
If you got an S series, you talk about cool features that I never thought would be amazing, but they are, is you've got HLG support. So things like HLG photo, look, I love raw workflow. It's great, and I love JPEGs, but HLG photo is shockingly good at maintaining shadow detail and not blowing highlights. So if you just want to try something new, experiment and stretch, I bet that's a feature you haven't tried.
Exactly. So take some time, take a look at your cameras. You'll have a whole bunch of really cool features in there that you guys may not be aware of.
Okay,
cool.
with that, I secede. Oh wait, Michael just drop out. I was going to say I cede the floor to the fine.
We'll have to see if we can get Michael to unmute his mic and restart his video if need be. So while we're waiting on that, just like we were saying, these live streams, you always have sometimes you'll have a challenge with connectivity. But I see another comment here from Leslie. Speak to the heating up of the sensor from tethering.
I've not.
Have you had any experience with it?
No, and I'm so I can tell you my tethering solution and I'm just going to say for streaming, for photographic reasons, we've done this for years and never had any issues. I can just speak to my experience with the G9. It's been really, really good. It's worked flawlessly. I really love that combination because we talked about the fact I'm kind of a macro guy. I've really loved that combo. There would be absolutely no issue with any of the GH series or any of the cameras it was designed for. So no, I've had those going for a very long time, and I tried it on a patio outdoors. So I wanted to kind of give it, hey, if you want to test humidity in Houston, what do? You go outdoors.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for anyone using the Tether software or honestly any of our cameras, one of the things that I think while we're waiting for Michael's camera to come back on, that I think a lot of people have some misconceptions about is, we have a ton of capabilities built into these cameras, and a lot of times, we talk about how they have unlimited recording capabilities. Know that if a camera doesn't get warm at all, like if it always stays cool to the touch, it could mean a couple of things. It's either not working hard enough, it is kind of just not generating enough heat or not generating any heat at all. Or if the camera does start to get a little warm to the touch, that's actually a good thing because that means that heat is radiating away from the sensor block, away from the processor, it's into the body. But the pro camera bodies that are magnesium are designed to act as partial heat sinks. So if you're shooting and you're doing tethering, like I have these cameras attached all the time, externally powered, and running for hours on end, they do get a little warm. But unless the camera gives you a notification of, hey, there's a problem here, you should be perfectly fine.
Okay, Sean. Well, thank you very much. I think Mike is queued up. So thank you very much, everyone. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack. Looks like we got Michael on here now. So let's see here.
Hey, Sean. How are you today? Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Having a fun time here today with the team, catching up with you guys while we're, kind of not being able to do this stuff in person. So
it's kind of cool. I'm enjoying this. This is fun.
Yeah. So what we've been doing is, when you guys come on, let's give the viewers kind of a background as to who you are, what you do for Panasonic, what the region is that you cover, and yeah.
I'm sales support representative for Southern California area. I pretty much handle most of Los Angeles and kind of the Hollywood area, but of course my territory takes me up to San Francisco, down to San Diego, across to Las Vegas occasionally. But my main priority or my main time that I spend is in Sammy's Camera, of course. So that's our big dealer out here in Southern California area with 4 locations, and we take care of them. And that's where you'll find me when we're done with COVID and we're back out on the world. You'll find me in those stores, of course, behind the counter, helping you guys out with any technical information you need. And of course, any gear you need.
Nice, nice. So what, with the same questions I asked everybody else, what is your current go-to camera for, these days?
Are you going to make me stick to one?
Well, I mean, Jack gave us a couple cameras.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple because I kind of have that plethora of, as everybody said, we're so lucky to work for Panasonic and have all this gear at our hand and our fingertips. Even though I still have a ton of gear from when I was shooting professionally, I still pick up now. Everything is mirrorless, and I'm shooting everything Lumix. It's kind of interesting how I made that switch. When I started with Panasonic a while ago, I didn't think that, I'd shoot it occasionally, that kind of stuff, because I have to shoot it. But it's turned out that I shoot it all the time. I shoot exclusively. I love the color, love the clarity, love the glass. It's pretty amazing at how fast that switch went. In fact, a lot of what I do for my fun time is I like to shoot college or professional sports. And so my first instance with GH5 and a 100-400 Leica glass was shooting USC football. And I went in it, taking my other gear, thinking, okay, I'll shoot the first quarter. I'll shoot some Panasonic so I have some samples. I'll shoot my other gear at second quarter. And then halftime, I'll make a decision and see where I'm at. And I kind of went in that going, well, this is great. It's lightweight, but it's probably not going to hold up to my full frame gear, right? That's what I thought. But the greatest thing was, lo and behold, I got to the first few frames of the second quarter and realized, wow, I really enjoyed that first quarter. So I went back to the gear and I shot GH5 almost all of the second quarter. Halftime, I got to all my editing, and I was amazed at how fast and how quickly I was able to shoot all that stuff. So my go-to kind of professionally is either GH5 or S1R. That's kind of what I'm shooting all my stills with. In the COVID world, I've been shooting a ton of stuff with S1R. And then my go-to kind of little camera and my favorite kind of street camera is Lx100 Mark II. So L monochrome D is my preferred setting on Lx100 Mark II. I'll pop some images up here a little bit later, and we'll kind of fly through that. That's kind of like my go-to COVID camera. It's my go-to even non-COVID camera. If I'm out with the family or I'm out walking around, or we're going with Sean to get dumplings in New York, this is what I'm carrying on the subway and going to get those favorite dumplings that we go to in New York.
You mean the place that Matt dragged us to?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was your place.
No,
anyways,
that was Matt's place.
It was good. I got some good shots that night too. Anyways, my other go-to is ZS100. That's one I've been using during the COVID time. My wife has made me plant a lot of flowers out in the backyard, so I've been shooting some macro stuff with this. And the craziest thing I've been doing is putting it on IA, so full-on automatic. So for those of us that are photo geeks, it's kind of like the wrong thing to do. I'm not shooting manual, but I'm shooting it as the camera does everything. And in IA, it goes to the macro mode automatically, and I'm just touching the screen to shoot. So it's been really cool what I've been getting out of it. It's pretty amazing. So, again, that's the beauty of it. Having so much stuff to choose from, I can go from a little point and shoot, something lightweight, then I can shoot with a GH5, or if I want to pull out the beast, then out comes definitely GH5 or S1R or S1H, like I'm shooting my images with today. My video feed is with a really amazing little setup that I have the opportunity to work with. So 7200 2.8 on an S1H, and that's what I'm using as my webcam. And
nice.
It's a pretty cool setup.
So let's. I posed this question to the other guys here. What is your, in your opinion, the most misunderstood thing about Lumix cameras?
It's got to be the feature set. I mean, there's so many things that, there's so many features built in the camera that normally I wouldn't think that I would use. I mean, things like 4K, 6K photo, post focus, all these little features that are built in, or time lapse, all these little great features that are built into the camera that make, even from a professional aspect, I'm able to shoot some stuff really quickly. And that's kind of the benefit. I mean, we love shooting stuff quick, because the faster you work, the more money you can make. So, I always love that. So if I'm able to, do post focus and not worry about, getting a ton of light on a subject and stacking images and getting that depth of field that I need on a product shot, why not? I mean, that's kind of the things that I've been doing. Another fun, great, crazy thing is, I mentioned being a color geek, right? So I shoot a lot of fine art for customers. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. And when I shoot fine art, that's all done with basically 4x5 camera and digital insert. So I'm shooting this little digital insert called the Better Light on a 4x5 camera to shoot fine art, right? Well, that's changed. So that gives me up to 309 megabytes per image. But now I can shoot like 84 on an S1R.
186.
Yeah, 186. So getting pretty close. So 186, and believe it or not, I am getting, with my ICC profiles and shooting my color chart, I'm able to shoot my fine art now with a DSLR type setup and get just the same, if not equal quality to a trilinear array LCD or CCD camera in a $40,000 4x5 camera. I mean, it's an amazing setup. So here I shoot a $3,600 camera, and then I put a 50 millimeter 1.4, which is my favorite S series glass. That thing is wicked sharp, and do my color profiles, and I'm able to pull my images so much faster. So I have a client that we're shooting 200 pieces of art. So just think about it. Back in the day, if I'm shooting with my scan camera, that would take me anywhere between 10 or 15 images or 10 or 15 minutes per piece to get photographed. Oof.
Man.
Now I'm down to a minute. I mean,
talk about efficiency.
It's the way
at that
to go.
point.
It's called profit. And
my
color and everything is, just mind blowing. How great I can get, doing my ICC profile, doing my stuff with my S1R.
Nice. So we've had a couple of comments come through here. Let's see here. Go back through here. Sure. One of the comments from Keith, I heard you once say that the IDs on your YouTube description were Instagram IDs, not YouTube or Facebook. Could you put that in the description?
Mirrorless_Mike.
There you go. So in the description for this YouTube video, at the bottom, it does say each of our names with our handles there. After the session, I'll go in there and just clearly state Instagram. I'm fairly technologically advanced across the board, but in the time that I was able to actually get back to updating that description, I couldn't put the links in there. So let's see
it's
what other
Mirrorless_Mike.
Awesome. So let's see what other questions we've got.
I know they don't like me doing this, but if you have any technical questions, michael.richardson@uspanasonic.com, and I will not repeat that.
But it is a recorded session, Mike.
That's right. See? My email's now going to blow up.
Yeah, probably.
But that's part of my job that I really enjoy. I really enjoy teaching people. I really enjoy, getting people to really understand photography and enjoy it. So if I can show someone how to do something quicker or easier, or a feature set that Panasonic allows that works that much better, I mean, that's my day. I mean, that's what I really enjoy doing, is helping people enjoy their photography more and more. As we all know, the best camera that you use is what? the camera, or the best, is the camera that you pick up. So I may
Exactly.
have a case load of gear, but what's my best camera? It all depends. It's the day that I pick up the one that, I really want is what's most important.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So you want to go to some
So,
pics?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's take
I'm
a
just
look
gonna
at some
fly
of
through
the
some of these
pictures you
real
got.
quick because I got a bunch, but we
Yeah.
can just kind of talk about that, and then what else you want to do, let me know. Just yell it out. So
Yeah.
there I am, mirrorless_Mike. And here we are with some football images shot up in Seattle with USC. Go Trojans, fight on. That shot with 70 to 200 on an S1R. And I'm going to discuss why that's so cool in a minute. Here's GH5, 100 to 400. Now here's an interesting issue. So we look at this great photo. It's awesome. Look at the people in the background seeing the image. Some people think I'm nuts shooting a 47 megapixel camera on sports. But here's the reason why. Across the field, way at the other end, but I can go and I can crop this and have an amazing photo. Look at the eyes even through the face mask. I mean, it's just cool. But my original image was this far. But because I had 47 megapixels, I can crop and go to town and still make a giant print.
Nice.
Even though most of my stuff is pretty much online anyways. Everybody says you can't shoot GH5 night sports with slow f-stop. I disagree. 100 to 400, f6.3, under what was the old lights at the Coliseum, which were so dim it wasn't even funny. So thanks to the NFL coming to the Coliseum, we have 4 stops brighter light. But low light situation, easy to do, perfect stuff.
Nice.
Lx100 Mark II, we talked about that. And I talked about, where'd I go? Hold on. There we go. Lx100 Mark II, monochrome. I love shooting, stuff walking around the streets of New York, even though I'm from LA. My weird thing on my dark side of the world is cemeteries. So wherever I travel, I'm always looking for old cemeteries, and I love shooting black and white and infrared in old cemeteries. GH5, 8mm. Here we go, on the way to get dumplings in New York. Again, Lx100 Mark II. I'm literally walking as I'm shooting this, just holding the camera up and taking a shot. I mean, it's just crazy how simple Panasonic gear can be, how great the autofocus is. I know everybody says it isn't. I disagree 100%. I live and die by the autofocus every day, and it does it for me. My other thing I like to do is shoot a series that I call concrete images. So black and white with shadows, concrete involved. So here's just concrete in Seattle with some cool geometric features and some shadows. Here's other fun. So you take my daughter's high school volleyball team. You shoot individual shots on black background, right? And then you send them to this great company online. They put it all together in one giant image. And we printed this, 30 feet by 10 feet high, all shot with GH5. And believe me, I now have every high school in the area calling me, wondering when I'm available to shoot their volleyball team when volleyball gets back up this year. So it's great stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Michael. So with that, we're actually about at the time where we are going to wrap up for this week. So
You got it.
Thanks, Mike, for joining us.
No, thank you, Sean.
It was a lot of fun having everybody on and being able to, get you guys introduced to the community and provide, who you guys are and what regions they can find you in.
You got it. See me in LA or any of the Sammy store, hopefully coming soon. I'll help you out.
Awesome. So let's see here. All right, cool. So again, everyone, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us here at this LUMIX live session here. There is a ton that we love to do at this company. We, as you guys saw, we have a ton of different experiences, different styles of photography that all of us are into, and expertise that each of us have across the board. And what's been really cool is that recently the fact that we've all moved into this online social aspect of teaching and educating everybody, it's allowed us to reach out to different regions where normally we may not be covering. Now, you know, like what the rest of the team had been mentioning in their regions, you know, I cover a lot of the mountain region, some of California, helping out with Michael in Southern California sometimes, and Northern California for stores like Mike's and Pictureline, you know, to name a couple of them. So once we start to get back to a relatively normal-ish schedule, where we can be out in stores, you know, take a look at the Lumix Cameras Facebook page, which is just Lumix. We dropped the Lumix Lounge link into the chat here, so if you scroll up, look for that link. You know, take a look at where our virtual classes are. They'll always be posted either on there or on the Lumix USA Facebook page. You can find out where any of us are going to be. And, you know, reach out to us, whether it's social media, whether it's on these streams weekly, and pick our brains. That's exactly what all of us are here for. We are here to help all of you with whatever questions we can answer and what other, you know, kind of advice as photographers and videographers we can give you. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank my team for spending time out of their day to come on and be live with us here on Panasonic Lumix Live here. Keep on the emails and the other social media channels to see what we have coming in the future. We will always be going live Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you liked what you guys heard, if you have suggestions for what you guys want to see next, leave them in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure that you actually see when we have the next session going live. Hit the notification bell so that you actually get the notifications for this. All of those things help us build this channel and broaden our reach across the globe. With that, again, thanks everyone for watching, and I hope to see you guys all next week for our next Lumix Live session. Take care.